Yo, my Star Citizens and Noob Gamers. Welcome back to another episode of Star Citizen with me, Mennings. And in today's episode, I'm going to be doing a top 10 tips for new players. I'm just going to do a quick rundown of what I think you should be looking at. And from the tips I've watched and the start guides I've watched and what I've gained from my few months of playing. So let's get into this. So my first tip is when you've created your character and you choosing your home, don't pick Crusader as your starting planet, because Crusader, the city of Orison, is in the clouds and the exit in the atmosphere takes a very long time. It takes probably twice, if not three times, the amount of time as it does to clear every other place. So Crusader and Orison is not the one to pick. Any of the others really is fine. But I mean, it doesn't really matter at the end anyway once you've gone on to tip 3. If you do end up dying and going back to your home planet, then it takes so long to get in and out of Crusader, so I would suggest somewhere else. I've picked Hurston because I just like working around the Hurston area, but New Babbage is alright as well. I quite like there. So that's tip 1. My second tip is once you've created your character and you've got your home planet, take some time to look at maps and stuff. And I don't mean like bringing up your Moby glass and looking at maps. I mean going to the walls at the stations and looking at the maps. It's one of the only ways really where you're going to find stuff, especially in places like Area 18 can be quite like a maze. So you've got to look at some maps and find out where stores are and places are. And same with the trains, you could end up getting on the wrong train and going to a different place than you wanted to go. So take some time and look at the maps and the signage around the areas. It's all helpful and it all points to the places you need to go. My third tip is once you've created your character and landed on your home planet and you've learned your signage, don't worry about getting stuff. The next task should be to get yourself your ship at the spaceport and head over to the nearest space station to you. So if you've landed on Hurston, then your nearest space station is going to be Everest Harbour. If you've landed on Microtech, then your nearest space station is going to be Port Tressler. If you've landed in Crusader, then your nearest space station is going to be Port Olisar. And if you've landed in Area 18, your nearest space station is going to be Bajini Point. So they're your space stations that you want to be looking out for. And what you need to do is once you land in the space station, you need to go to the hospital and you can, if you want to, book in a bed at the front desk, but if you go further round, you'll find an insurance kiosk, and if you go to the insurance kiosk, you can transfer your imprint from your planet to the space station. So that means whenever you die, you will spawn back at the spaceport rather than the planet. You don't want to be spawning back at the planet because you've got to then get trains and all that stuff back to the spaceport, and you probably easily lose 10 minutes doing all of that. Whereas with the spaceport, with the space station, you start at the hubs, you come downstairs through the lift, and you're there already at your spaceport to get your ship. So that's the tip number 3 for me. So tip number 4 for me is the first mission you should probably do is a delivery mission, the first delivery evaluation mission, box mission, because it gets you used to getting your ship, flying your ship, landing on the planets, picking up the boxes, being able to loot and pick up stuff and put them into your local inventory and then onto your ship and sell that later on. But it just gives you a base of all the mechanics of the game in your ship and on foot, without the fighting aspect of it. When you're landing generally in armistice zones, so you can't be shot at, and so you're normally quite protected. And it's a good way of learning the basics of the game. So I would do your box mission, one box. You basically start off with one box, pick up, one box drop off, 2 different locations. And then after that, once you've earned some more rep, you then start looking at picking up 3 boxes from one location and dropping off at 3 locations, or picking up at 3 locations, dropping off at 1 location. So I would do maybe a couple of days of doing box missions and stuff like that, just to get used to some of the mechanics of the game and the ships you've got and stuff like that. So that's my tip on that. So my 5th tip is, when you're first starting out, don't take loads of gear with you on your missions if you're doing the box missions and stuff like that, because if you die accidentally, like crashing into the planet or whatever, you lose all that stuff. In one way you'll lose it, but one of the other tips you'll see, you don't fully lose it, but there is a chance that you'll end up losing it. And so there's no point in taking loads of gear with you, because you're not going to need it, especially doing the box missions or your first missions. I found that out. I watched a guide and I went and bought loads of stuff. I bought armor, backpack, guns, all that stuff, and then lost it all within the first day when I crashed into a planet. So that's another tip there. You don't need all the gear, just be you. Take your basic helmet, basic suit, and you'll pick stuff up. Especially if you're doing a box mission, you'll find red boxes along the way that you can loot, and you'll pick up armor and arms and not guns, but there'll be places where you can get guns, but you'll pick up arms, armor, leg armor, new helmets, drinks, food, med guns, med pens, tractor beams, all that stuff. You'll find all that in the loot boxes when you're doing your box missions. That's another reason to start on the box delivery missions, because you'll loot so much stuff that you won't have to buy anything. My 6th tip is, don't worry about crime stats. So when I started, I was constantly worried about getting a crime stat, about firing back at people, worried that I don't want to be unlawful and get killed and whatever. But for me, I don't care anymore about crime stats. You can have fun trying to clear your crime stat and go on a different mission, or if you do die, you do go to prison, there's no biggie. Prison's quite fun. It's quite fun to get out there and go through the tunnels in the prison and to do the mission that the jobs that they give you in prison, to fix the oxygen chambers or whatever you have to do. It can be quite a fun part of the game. So don't worry too much about getting a crime stat. It's not the end of the world. There is fun behind getting a crime stat, and later on as you get better, learning maybe how to escape from prison can be another good aspect to the game. So don't worry too much about getting a crime stat. If you get it, you get it. Don't worry about it. It can still be fun. My 7th tip is, don't run from a fight. Unless you've got loads of cargo that you're carrying, like hundreds of thousands or whatever. If you're just out about doing little box missions or whatever, and someone comes and a griefer or whatever, or a pirate pulls up on you and tries to kill you, enjoy it. Have the fight. There's many times I've run from fights and regretted it, but then when I decided no, I'm not going to, I upgraded my guns on my ship and stuff like that, and now I fight them back. And you'll find a lot of the time they'll try and run away from you themselves because they're getting shot back at. So if you die, you die. Again, it comes down to this, don't worry with the crime stat thing. If you get a crime stat, you get a crime stat for firing at someone. but you shouldn't get one if they've been already firing at you. But if you do die, you die. If you've got little boxes from a box mission, then them boxes will still be there. If you're on the ground or on the planet, they'll still be there. You can go back and collect them later. Or if they're floating in space, you can go back and grab them from floating in space. So that's not too much of an issue. But don't run away from a fight. Don't be afraid of dying, basically. If you die, you die. You spawn back at your base and you can get back out there and just carry on as you were. It's not a big issue. Tip number 8, which is quite a big one for me, is there is 2 other modes on Star Citizen at the menu. You've got Arena Commander and you have Star Marine. Now Star Marine is an FPS multiplayer shooting game, so you can go in there and learn multiplayer first-person shooting. Get used to the mechanics of fighting with in first-person mode. That can be quite fun. And you also have Arena Commander, which has 2 modes. You have a racing mode for if you want to get into racing, and you have a pirate mode where pirates can attack you. And that's a good way of learning dogfighting in your ship. Again, without losing too much. You don't lose anything. Basically, you just go in there. It's just like a single player fighting AI pirates, and there's waves of them that come. There's 10 waves, and they increase each wave. It's also a good way of doing multi-crew practicing as well. You could take something like the Cutlass Black or the Cutlass Steel with a couple of friends, invite them in. There you take up the guns on your ship, your multi-crew ship, and you see how far you can get with the waves of the pilots. Is a good way of practicing, rather than you all going in and being afraid that you're going to get attacked when you're doing some sort of mission in the universe itself. So yeah, Arena Commander, Star Marine, good way to learn. Tip number 9 is, once you've got used to doing box missions and you've got used to the mechanics of the game, flying around, looting, stuff like that, and not being afraid of dying, the next big step is to look at something else. And a good way of earning money can be to do cargo runs. Now, the ship I have for my cargo runs is a Nomad, and my Nomad can take 24 units of cargo. So I can generally get about 150,000 Alpha UEC per hour running my cargo mission. So yeah, there's a video which I'll link in the description that shows you how to do that if you want to do that. But that's a good way of doing some quick money if you want some quick money, or you want to start saving for a ship. Say you've got a cargo ship and you want to start saving for a fighter ship or whatever. That's a good way of doing it. Just do some cargo runs and earn some money, basically. One of the ways to find out your missions is to go to SC Trade Tools, and I'll put a link in the description. And what you can do is you can select your ship, you can select how much you're going to pledge, and from there then you can have a look at different like routes around the area you're at. So you can select your ship, how much you want to pledge in to get in your cargo, and it'll tell you what cargo to pick up from where and where to sell it, and what rates you should be looking at. So yeah, that's the tip for that one. Use SC Trade Tools as well, and you'll get some good routes. And my tip number 10 is there's a good community out there. If you press F12 or F11, you can talk to people, and a lot of people generally do like to help you out. Some people will take you under their wing, they'll friend you, they'll let you go out on missions with them. I did when I first started. I went on somebody's hammerhead and manned one of the turrets on that, and I really enjoyed it. So it's a good way of learning more. People will always help you out. They'll even give you money if you need it. They'll help you with tips. They'll let you do runs with them and share the jobs they've got, or they'll give you just basic tips on how to play the game. You do get some griefers that do mess around, but the majority of the time you do get people that are genuinely want to help you out and want you to have fun in the game. So don't be afraid of talking to people in the chat. So the first of my bonus tips are, you'll see on some of the gameplays I've played, use your ping. I think it's tab on the keyboard and mouse. I have it set on a gamepad, and use your ping a lot, because when you first start coming into a planet that's dark can be really daunting. A lot of the time I'll have my quantum view up and I can see how far I am from my target, but it's always good to use your ping as well, because then you'll see the structure of the land that you're coming into, you'll see the mountains and stuff like that. So pressing tab and pinging a lot, it's really good. A really good tip when you're starting out, especially when it's dark and coming up with things like the space stations and stuff like that. And my bonus number 2 is have fun. Don't get stressed out over the game. If someone comes along, a griefer or whatever, and kills you, or a pirate kills you, or you crash into the land or whatever, it's fun. The game can be fun. Don't get stressed out over it. If you die, you always get an X on your HUD that you can go back to your dead body and you can loot your own dead body. Many a time me and Kilthanis have, we've died, our ship's blown up, and it's created like a box for us, and that box drops to on the floor, and all our stuff from the that we've looted and we've put in the ship is all there inside that box. We can even grab a traction beam and pull that box onto the ship, and then we've got a box that we can take into bunkers to put stuff in. So yeah, and anybody can access that box as well, so it's like a communal shared box. So don't be afraid of dying. Have fun with it. Don't get stressed out with it. If you die, you die. You can always get your stuff back. It's not an issue. I know it goes against, like I was saying with the tip, don't take a lot of stuff out with you. There is times where you don't really want to be going picking all your stuff up. You want to do what you was doing, but the option's there that if you do die with stuff on you because you're going to do a bunker mission or something, then you can always get that stuff back. Have fun, enjoy it, join the community, and take care. And my final bonus is going to be, this one's very important, and it's caught us out a few times. When you are about to leave your spaceport, if you get time, check the fine monitors where you can pay your fines, because there's been many a times we've gone out to do a bunker mission and Kilthanis has been shot by a friendly, or we've approached the base and it said we're trespassing, and it turns out, even though it showed that he didn't have a crime stat, he had fines outstanding. So maybe he's picked up something and been fined for it, or done something where he's got a fine, maybe injured a goodie or something and been fined for it. And could be times where he's shot me by accident and he's been fined for it or whatever. So he's ended up with some sort of fine. And so you've got to go to one of these machines and just check to make sure you haven't got a fine, so that you don't end up, if you do a bunker mission at any point, you don't end up getting shot at by the friendlies and getting a trespassing stat on when you come into land, which means you can't land near it because they're going to start shooting your ship, and then you've got to land far away from it and come round. So yeah, that's the biggest bonus of them all. Always check you don't have fines before you go out. So that's my 10 tips with the couple of bonuses there. The bottom line is enjoy the game. We have, after 4 months of playing it. We hope this video helps you out, and it makes you feel a bit more at ease playing the game. Yeah, so we hope you liked this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help us out, and we'll see you out in the verse.